my dear students. Today we shall deal with another poem by a living poet, an Odia poet, Goparanjan Mishra, who is of our faculty, who has retired from government, you can say, college as a principal of JKVK College, Cuttack. So, as a living author, for some times he was also in the Council of Higher Secondary Education. So, many of you might have known, or he is a well-known person, let us say. So, today we shall just discuss his poem, Fishing. This poem has been taken from his poetic work, The Sun and the Candle. All right. So, this is a poem consisting of 8 stanzas, altogether 8 stanzas. In each stanza there are 4 lines, and in the 7th stanza you have 8 lines. So, 4 lines, or you can call as a quartet. So, 4 into 7, 28 lines, and 7th stanza is of 8 lines. That is an exception. So, besides that, let me just morphologically from outward you can just observe the stanzas are this way, highly musical, and at the same time the first line rhymes with the second, first line rhymes with the second, and the third with the fourth. So, stanza you can say is a unit of a poem. There are altogether 8 stanzas, except the 7th stanza. All stanzas they have 4 lines each, and the first line is rhyming with the second. Rhyme, R-H-Y-M-E, rhyme, identical sound. Just let us examine fit, bet, me, be. All right. That E sound is in the 4th line, the 3rd line, and in the 4th line that E sound is there. Likewise, in the first and second you have ta, right, pit, bet, ta, then E. So, roughly I give you something which appears as an arrangement of the poem. Let us summarize. Fishing by Goparanjan Mishra, a living writer, a poet. This is his work, The Sun and the Candle. Fishing is a poem which has been taken from this volume of his work, and from the outer part of it you can see that it has got 8 stanzas. So, excluding the 7th, all other they are having this kind of arrangement, 4 lined stanzas. Each stanza is having 4 lines. You have this identical sound in the first, second, then you have a third and fourth. If you denote it with A sound, this becomes B sound. All right. So, another way I say this poem is a poem having 26 lines and highly musical in nature, and this is a very interesting, dealing with a very interesting subject called fishing. The author is recounting or telling you or describing you his own experience as a kind of you can say angler. I should not say that he is a fisherman, but let us say that as an amateur, you can say angler, how he has tried to catch a fish, and he actually got a fish, but he allowed it to go. All right. So, the entire time which has been spent here for this activity is 3 hours. So, possibly there is textual evidence that this poem is dealing with the time which is daytime, and the place where all these things occur, place or location. All right, location of the poem or the setting, let us say, setting is the nearby a place nearby the poet's house. All right. So, as an amateur person, he is going to catch a fish and is describing his own experience. That's why what we get here, we get a kind of experience of the poet when he is trying to catch a fish. All right. So, it is the experience of the poet when he, because of his interest in this kind of art of fishing, he went for the activity to a pond which is nearer to his house in the afternoon, promising his family members that in the same night they would be having fish fry. All right. See how the words are used, fish fry, FF, identical sound. So, this kind of arrangement is there, abundantly found in the poet. You have the same kind of sound coming, fish fry. Likewise, let us go and read the poem. The best way to understand the poem is to read it to yourself, and at the same time, you must read it in a manner by which you will enjoy the poem. And all great poems, they are enjoyed before they are fully understood. Even if you don't understand each line, each word, then also you can enjoy the poem. So, this is an instance of such a kind of good poem. So, let us summarize once again. Fishing is an activity in which your poet Goparanjan Mishra is engaged, and he is recounting or he is telling you his own experience. So, for the poem's purpose, the entire time which is devoted is 3 hours. Time spent 3 hours, the daytime, and the place where this poem is set is the nearby place, a nearby pond. So, let me read out the poem. Just see that how the words are used. They are all very simple words, at the same time they are highly musical. So, when you go through the lines, you will feel like as if you are moving with the lines, or in the other way, the poet will take you with him. All right. So, it is almost like he is sharing his experience with you, and you feel like sharing your experience with him. Or in the other way, it is so persuasive a poem. Let us call it's a very persuasive poem. You just cannot afford to halt in between. You will be just going with the lines, going with the poet. Like a seasoned angler sure of his pit, with a fishing rod and line and a bet. Pit, taw, the sound which comes at the end. You are not concerned with the word at the end. So, first line ends with pit, the second line ends with bet. So, we are not concerned with the words, but we are concerned with the sound. Pit, taw, then taw. All right. So, I said you all wait for me, fish fry tonight our dinner will be. So, see who is the speaker of the poem? The speaker of the poem, or for all practical purpose, the narrator of the poem is himself, the poet. So, that is why he is using I. All right. So, he says, I promised my family members, told them that they should wait for a fish fry tonight. So, in the very first stanza, or in the consisting of 4 lines, you find a voice and some you can say intended listeners. Who are the intended listeners? The other part is the family members. So, the poet says that I went for fishing with a promise to come back after catching a fish, so that that fish will be used for an item, a kind of dish, on the same day in the night. That is why he says, I said you all wait for me. You, so who is you? That means the family members, or maybe the friends. All right. So, it is not sure whether it is family members or his friends. But he promised that wait for me. Tonight there would be a kind of item or a kind of dish or a kind of food preparation called fish fry. See, fish fry. So the moment you hear, I think you will feel as if there is a kind of a kind of attraction for the dish. So though none of them did say a word, on my face yet I heard some chuckles were at my back. I told myself, let me come back. So this is as if the author is telling himself, at the same time he is also sharing his views or his feelings with the intended listeners, or this you may refer to his family members or his friends. We are not sure whether they are his friends or you can say the family members, right? So either the family members or his friends. So he says, though none of them did say a word, on my face yet I heard some chuckles. Chuckle means silent laughter. It's a usual kind of experience. Suppose you have some kind of interaction with somebody and then you are going back, or you are just moving backwards. At the same time, you might have seen at times there may be some kind of sound coming. All right. So that's a kind of repercussion of your interaction with those things or with those persons. Likewise, he says that like a seasoned, like a kind of a kind of person, just like a kind of mature fisherman, all right, or angler, all right. So he is not a fisherman but an amateurist. Quite often he goes for this kind of thing as a kind of pastime. So he says, so I am not as if I am very much adept at fishing. I went on for this kind of a thing, and when I went, I promised my friends or maybe the family members that I would come back in the evening with a fish, so that there would be a kind of fish fry. We shall make a preparation of this kind of thing. So when you hear the item like fish fry, maybe your mouth may be watered. See how he has used this kind of you can say expression, fish fry tonight. All right, fish fry tonight. So the well chosen words. So the beauty of this poem lies in such expressions, in such choice of words. So it's a kind of experience which has been felt by your poet. He is telling that just like a seasoned one, a mature one, who knows the tricks, or you can say the fit means trick. So likewise I went with a promise that I would come back with a kind of fish, so that the fish would be fried tonight. Then come to the third stanza. To the nearby pond I straightway ran with a fishing tackle and of course a can. So what did he carry? He carried with him the fishing material, all right? The angler, the angle, that means the hook. Just like in Oriya we say banisi, all right? Banisi, the rod, fishing rod, that's a kind of a hook like kind of a thing, and that string, or what we say the thread like kind of thing, and then you put a kind of bait. So it is just like, let me just give you some idea about the fishing rod. All right. Ordinarily in our countryside, if you go to your villages, or there may be people those are engaged in this kind of a thing. Let us say here is a man, all right, and he has gone to a kind of pond. So he will be having a kind of rod-like thing, all right, a rod-like thing, and there will be a kind of rope, and there will be a kind of hook-like thing, all right, likewise, and the bait. So earthworm is usually used as a kind of a bait, all right, earthworm, kenchua. In ordinary sense, in Oriya we say a bait is used, a small kind of thing, which is just put here, here in the, you can say, hook. This is a hook like thing, this is a kind of a thread, and this is a kind of a bamboo stick, all right, bamboo stick, and the entire thing is called the kind of fishing rod. So it's a straight way made of a bamboo, then a string or a kind of a thread, and to the end of it you have this kind of hook like thing, which is made of you can say steel or iron, small, and then something is attached to it, so that the fish will be attracted, and when the fish will bite it, it would be hooked, all right. So the fish cannot just go away, all right, so that it will be drawn towards the fisherman. So this is roughly the kind of a thing. This is the fisherman, and this is his instrument, all right, the tool, or you can say instrument, all right. So here the poet just describes, to the nearby pond, yes, I straight away ran. On the other we can say, I ran straight away to the nearby pond, carrying this fishing rod and the bait, and there the minutes passed and the hours dragged, it seemed no log that day I had. So very ordinary words, all right, simple words he has used, but see the kind of arrangement, all right. The lines are like this: to the nearby pond I straight away ran, with a fishing tackle and of course a can. So what did he carry? He carried with him this kind of fishing rod, this hook, this thread all together, that is tackle, fishing tackle, all right, fishing tackle. So you can just paraphrase this stanza this way. You can say that I ran straight away to the nearby pond, carrying the fishing tackle and a can, all right, a can, a small pot, all right. And then in the third stanza, third line, you can see where he says, the minutes passed and the hours dragged. That means he waited and waited, nothing happened. Then he was unable to catch a fish for a long time. See the expressions, right? The minutes passed, the hours dragged. It is as if a film moving in slow motion, right? So he waited and waited for a long time. So he went to catch fish to a nearby pond, carrying his fishing material, or you can say the fishing tackle. There he stood waiting for catching a fish, nothing happened. Minutes passed, then hours passed. So he waited for some minutes and then for hours, but there is no sign of any fish. What to think of or what to talk of catching a fish. So this particular kind of waiting, so waiting become a boredom here, all right. So nothing happened. He is unable to catch a fish for a long time. So the feeling which has been felt by him has been described in these words. He says, the minutes passed and the hours dragged. It seemed no luck that day I had. So possibly sometimes when you go on a mission, go on a work, we have some kind of intention, you have some kind of target, you have some kind of aim. So usually you have a kind of time that you have to complete the work within this. So what was the work? The work, he has promised at his place that tonight there will be fish fry, a special item. That's why he has run to the nearby pond to catch a fish. But he has been waiting there for some hours, nothing has happened. So he is terribly afraid. Maybe he had to return without catching a fish. Suddenly something changed. He says, I thought fishless I would return home and would face the jeers of some. Jeers of some means some of his friends or some of his family members. So text is silent. All right. In the poem or in the stanza or in the lines, we are not sure. Going to the lines, we are not sure whether they were his friends or his family members. All right. So let us just take that the other persons, those who are waiting for the fish fry. So he says, if it would not be possible on my part to catch a fish, then I have to return without fish. So what to think of the fish fry? That's why he says that minutes passed and minutes passed, and then hours drag on and on. So in the third stanza, in the line number 12, you see the expression, it seemed no luck that day I had. So he thought possibly he had come at a particular time which was not lucky for him, or on the other way, he felt as if it may so happen he would be returning to his place. He would be unable to just stick to his promise that feeding his people or his friend the fish fry. So the apprehensions were there. That's why he says that I may face some kind of jeers or some kind of rude remarks from my relatives or from my friends. Oh God, today please give me a fish. So it's just like this. This is very familiar kind of thing. Usually when we go for a work, if it happens or things take place as per our expectation, it's all right. When things do not take shape as per our expectation, we feel, you can say, unhappy. We feel sad because nothing happens. So likewise, for the past some hours, about 2 hours or 3 hours, he felt as if nothing is going to happen. He may be compelled to go back to his place, to his own place, without catching a fish. So this kind of apprehension, this kind of fear was there. All right. So he may be, it may so happen, he won't be, or he would prove unlucky. All right. He may prove unlucky and he would be returning to his place without a fish. If there would be no fish, there would be no fish fry. And lo, the float sank, rose again. See the expressions, small expressions, but beautiful expressions. And lo, the float sank, all right, and rose again and popped its head to tell me then, this is just the time, you man, to catch a fish if you can. All right. So there are two voices here. One, you see the expression in the first person, and the second one as if he is talking to himself. It's just like sometimes when we are busy in an activity, so sometimes it may so happen we are talking to ourselves. It is a kind of monologue. Likewise, he says that after a long wait for some hours, I could see the kind of indicator. He says that the float, all right. So I have already explained the fishing rod, the man standing here throwing his fishing rod, this is the string, then this is the hook, and there is an indicator which is called a float. So if a fish is cut or the fish takes the bait, this is called bait, then there will be some kind of signal here, it will be sunk. So that is an indication that the bait is now eaten by the fish. All right. So here the poet is standing he has stood for some time, some hours, and there was an apprehension, a kind of fear that it may not be possible on his part, but suddenly things turned differently. It was to his fortune that he could find there is some movement of the float. The float sunk. All right. The float sunk. And he says, this is just the time, you man, to catch a fish if you can. So when he could see that the float sunk below, this is, suppose it is water level. So when it is sunk, it indicated that a fish has taken the bait or the fish has been hooked here. That's why So he says that this is the time when he should draw his or he should pull his fishing rod towards him, so that the fish will be caught. And that happened. Without delay I pulled the string, and what a catch did it bring. See the kind of thing. So if it would have been written in a prose, it would be like this: I pulled the string without delay. But the same words are arranged in poetry in stanza. See the kind of mark, see the kind of you can say arrangement. Without delay I pulled the string. So I shall just tell you what is a prose line and what is a line in a stanza. Let us examine, very interesting. So if it is like this: without delay I pulled the string. So this is a line in a poem. Without a delay I pulled the string, and what? A catch. Catch means that fish. Did it bring? String, bring. Let us examine. So the same kind of sound. This is consonant sound. Right? Consonant sound, vowel sounds. Your teacher might have told you. So this repetition or identical sound gives a kind of music to the lines. I have already told you, when there is a description of the experience of the poet, you feel like moving with the poet. You feel like moving with the lines. See, without delay I pulled the string, and what a catch did it bring. String, bring. So identical sound. In Odia we call it jati pata. Alright? Same kind of sound. So my point is to show that how very familiar words he has used. Without delay I pulled the string, and what a catch did it bring. Very common words. See the kind of arrangement. So he could have told you this way: I pulled the string without delay. I would have come to this point. I pulled the string without delay, and it, instead of telling did it bring, he could have told you it brought what a catch or a big fish. But since it is a poem, a line in a poem, that's why the arrangement is like this. Alright? What delay without delay I pulled the string, and what a catch did it bring. Alright? There is no question mark, but since there is one exclamation, that he was surprised to find out when the float sunk into the water, or it went below the surface of the water, it is signaled that the bait has been you can say eaten, or has been cut by the fish. So he felt like just pulling the string, and he could see that he could catch a fish. Without delay I pulled the string, and what did it bring? And 1 foot fish bright and fair. See the expression, 1 foot fish. So he could see that he was able to catch a fish. The fish is very bright and fair. It looks so attractive. So the expressions which are, the two adjectives which are used, one is bright, the other is fair. So it was towards the afternoon, there may be sun ray falling, and when he is pulling that string, he could see visibly the 1 foot long fish. 1 foot fish, bright and fair, that wriggled in the air. So the very you can say familiar kind of you can say expression, very familiar kind of you can say experience, which if you have some kind of acquaintance with your friends in your villages, and they may if you are sharing your experiences with those people, those who are coming from rural places, this is very familiar. But this familiar experience has been rightly put into a kind of word rightly put into these lines. So you could see that when the BAIT sunk or went below the surface, he pulled the string and you could see that he was able to catch a fish which is about 1 foot. All right, and it was so bright, it was so fair. Two well chosen words, well chosen adjectives are used to describe. It was the first encounter. He could see that when he pulled the string, he could see that it's a fish coming out of the surface of the water. And 1 foot fish, bright and fair, that wriggled and wriggled in the air. Since it is hooked, the fish has eaten the bait. That's why he cannot escape. I have already explained how does it look like. This is the bait, this is the hook. So once the fish has eaten it, it cannot escape. That's why when the string was pulled, it comes onto the surface. And when it is above the surface of the water, it wriggled. All right, it wriggled and wriggled. And when it is wriggling in the air, in the bright sunshine, it looks like this, bright and fair. So, in the stanza, this is line number, in the stanza number, you can say 6. See how beautifully he has described his experience, that at last, after 3 hours of waiting, that kind of a slow moving lines, line number 12, the minutes passed and the hours dragged, it seemed low like that day I had. So the contrast that was the first experience. He waited for about 3 hours and at last he could catch a fish. See the kind of contrast, the feeling which he had sometimes passed, and now the feeling of joy. He felt joyful, delightful, he felt happy that at last he could catch a fish. And now he is going to keep to his promise that he would be feeding his friends the fish fry. All right, fish fry tonight. That was the kind of arrangement. That was the kind of thing for which he went nearby pond. And at this my joy knew no bound. I ran excited round and round. See, very simple words, but see the kind of arrangement. See the repetitions. All right, this repetition, the use of expressions, they add to the beauty of the poem and they add to the music part of it. What is a song? A song, a poem is a song when it is sung, S-U-N-G. Right? A song is a poem which is sung, S-U-N-G, or which you can sing. So likewise I say that all these words, they are well chosen and they add to the musical quality of this poem. So you see, in this preceding 6 stanzas, you have 4 lines each. All right. So 4 into 6, 24 lines we have covered. Now this is the 7th stanza. So since the exuberance is there, the delight is there, the happiness is there, there is a sense of a joy. That's why this is something very spontaneous, and it comes to him just like a kind of a gush of water. All right. Suddenly there is some kind of a joy. So this joyful moment cannot be arrested, cannot be stopped. That is why these 8 lines are there in order to continue the kind of feeling which is felt by the poet. What is the feeling? The feeling of joy, delight, instantaneous joy. So when you could see the fish wriggling in air, it is beautiful, at the same time very attractive. It is bright and fair. He calls it, it is bright and fair. So the initial reaction of the poet is the immense pleasure, immense delight. So he cannot check it. That's why in order to give justice to his feeling, to his experience, he is not breaking those 8 lines into 2 stanzas, rather he has used a single stanza. All right. So when you will go through this line, you feel that in between you cannot afford to stop. All right. In between you cannot afford to, you cannot help stopping here. All the lines, 8 lines. When you begin the 7th stanza, you cannot stop in between, because this is the delightful moment. At this my joy knew no bound, I ran excited round and round, because he could see the, we can say, the piece which is bright and fair. All right, it is good looking, it is attractive, it is so sensuous to watch such a kind of thing. All right, it is a feast for his eyes. But with the gasping mouth and the wistful look, it seemed to say, but there is a sudden turn of events. All right. So see, this is the poet, an amateurist. He is not a fisherman, but he is an amateurist. So just for pleasure's sake, he goes for this kind of activity, just like an angler. So now he has caught the fish. So he has kept to his promise that he would be catching a fish. After 3 hours of waiting, he was able to catch a fish. Till then, this is the turn of events, that is the promise of getting a fish, and at the end he has caught a fish. But there is a twist. The beauty of the poem is this turning point. The twist, T-W-I-S-T, the turn of events is something different. See, because of this poem is so significant. This poem has become so popular. This poem is so widely read. This poem is so widely enjoyed because of this sudden turn of event. What was the event? That when you could see that fish fresh and fair, all right, it was a joyful moment. But when you could see the suffering, the wriggling of the fish, he could imagine as if there is some kind of a sound coming from the fish with a request. See, we are human beings. We have a touch of kindness. We have the milk of human kindness. See, and Goparanjan Mishra is no exception. All right? So, as a human being, he could sense that another voice is slowly telling him that, please unhook me and let me go again to my home, my watery den. I did think of my 3 hours labor and spicy fish fry over. So, this stanza number 7 is actually most significant part of this poem, where you see a kind of a contrast. All right, let me just give you a kind of idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 3, 4. This is stanza number 7. So, where he is giving you his experience that it was a moment of joy, and this is also a moment of joy. But here is the twist. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5th line onwards, that is a twist. A kind of a turn, just a kind of reverse. Reverse means just you are moving forward, then again you are coming backward. So, reverse. What is the reverse? I have marked that this is the joy of catching a fish. Here, this is the joy in letting the fish go. All right. So, this only happens in case of a poet. A poet has a different kind of feeling. All people cannot be poets. All right. There are few poets. They have a sense of kindredness. All right. A sense of likeness. They have emotions. They have feelings. They have sentiments. So, Goparanjan Mishra, as a human being, recounting that kind of moment, that his joy knew no bound when he caught the fish. But when he is about to catch the fish, he caught the fish, and then when he is about to unhook, he felt as if there is another voice, that is the voice of the fish, giving him a kind of a feeling that the fish is requesting him to allow him to go into water. All right? So it may be the other voice. All right? So I have already told you that whenever we are engaged in some kind of work, whenever we are doing our work, there is two kind of thing. One is conscious, what I am going to tell, I am conscious that what I am telling. At the same time, the other thing, the inner voice, or you can say in the subconscious level, there is another kind of thing going on. So likewise, when he caught the fish, he was joyful, he was delighted. At the same time, he felt as if when he could see the wriggling of the fish, he felt as if there is a slow sound coming from the fish with the request that please, please, please allow me to go once again to the pond, unhook me. So you see line number 28 onwards, you see the twist, the turn, the reverse, that it seemed to say, please unhook me and let me go again to my home, my watery den. Watery den means house, all right? The lion's den, all right? Like the watery den, that is the pond, all right? So the fish, the den of the fish, or the living place of the fish is the pond. So your poet caught the fish. Now he is about to unhook. At the same time, he could hear a request, a kind of sound coming. It's a kind of imagined kind of a thing. That happens only in case of poets or those people, those are highly sensible. Those are very emotional. All right. So he could listen, or he could sense that it is as if the fish is in a painful condition and is telling that it should be freed. So he says, to my home, my watery den, I did think of my 3 hours labor and the spicy fish fry flour. So I have been repeating the same kind of thing again and again, that the beauty of the poem lies in the choice of words. Very simple words, but they are arranged in a manner by which the beauty is there. So see that spicy fish fry flour. Spicy fish fry flour. So F, F, F. So the repetition of the same kind of sound, consonant sound, fa, fa, fa. So when you get the kind of sound used in the same line, that adds to the beauty of the line, it becomes musical. All right, it has a kind of, you can say, quality. At the same time, see, when this expression is used, that when I was able to hear a sound coming from the fish, highly imaginative, that the poet is listening to the kind of sound, as if the poet could hear that the fish is requested to let the fish go to its, you can say, watery den. But at the same time he is reminded that he has a promise to his friends, to his family members, that tonight there will be fish fry. See the kind of contrast. All right, see the kind of contrast. See, had it been a case of any other person, ordinary person, a common man, then he would have caught the fish because he has promised to feed his people fish fry. But here is a poet. See the kind of contrast. We are common human beings. If I would have been there, it is usual, common, that I would catch the fish, then simply come to my place, allow my friends to cook it, and you could have enjoyed that fish fry, because that was the original plan. But since it is the case of the poet thought differently, felt differently, that he allowed the fish which has already cut to go into water. All right. So that's a twist, that's a turn. So in line number 7, again I am repeating, I am insisting that the 7th stanza is the most important stanza in the entire poem. Here the contrasting feeling, the feelings are contrasted. All right. So what was the feeling in the 7th and the beginning of the stanza? This is 7th stanza. The beginning feeling is when there is an expression, it is a moment of joy, delight. What is the delight? The joy emanates from catching the fish. Catching fish after a long waiting. All right. So this is the first part of the 7th stanza. In the second part, you can see the turn, the twist. What was the twist? That the poet thought that he would be allowing the fish to go into its watery den, because he could hear, or his inner voice, in his the other self just triggered a sense of kindness in him, for which he felt that it would not be proper to catch the fish and kill it and go for the food. So he says, I did think of this hour's labor and the spicy fish fry favor. There is a kind of a momentary feeling. What is that? That he had promised to feed his friend. What happened? This usual kind of thing that happens in all of us. But it's a poet's case. The poet, there is a change in his mind, and see the kind of thing. Back home, some mocking face would stare for nothing, however, I did care. So even if there was the initial chuckle, that the initial kind of apprehension, that possibly he may not be able to catch a fish, and his original promise to feed his friend the fish fry, but things took place as per his wish, as per his expectation. He could catch a fish. The fish is 1 feet. It's fresh. It is bright. All right, and it is fair. The beautiful expressions are there. But then suddenly there is a change in his mind, and he says, I didn't care. So that is the. So when he thought that I should allow it to go, at that time he is simply going to another kind of level. All right, from the ordinary level, from our level to another level. All right. So had it been in our case, we could have cut the fish, safely come back to our place and cook it like this. But the poet is different. So he transcends. I am using a term, transcends. All right, goes beyond. Thought for a while that it would not be proper to kill the fish. So as the sun was sinking behind the hill, see the expressions, a strange feeling my heart did feel. In the evening crimson glow, with greater joy I let it go. So the poet began with some kind of promise. There is some kind of apprehension in between, sense of fear that people may think him that he has become unfortunate, he was not able to catch a fish, he could not keep his promise. But to his fortune, he caught a fish, about to unhook it and kill it. But there is a sudden change in his mind. And then he says that it's a kind of a wonderful moment. It's a kind of a self-revealing kind of experience. He says this is another kind of feeling, a feeling of a joy, delight, happiness. All right, that is the most rewarding moment when he felt that I did not care. I didn't care what my friends would tell, but I will allow the fish to go to the watery den, that means to the pond. So he says, see the kind of background, that it was afternoon, the sun is about to set and it's crimson red, and he is able to see the fish which was dazzling, at the same time wriggling. That's a moment of joy, and that joy is more multiplied when he allowed it to be put again into the pond. So that beautiful moment, that rewarding moment has been described in such beautiful line. See this is the closing line, that all things become very beautiful when there is a moment of sharing. As the sun was sinking behind the hill, a strange feeling my heart did feel. So this is a strange feeling, not an ordinary feeling. So I have clearly defined what it would have happened in our case. We are common human beings. We might have caught the fish, come back to our place. But this is a strange kind of experience, a strange feeling was there aroused in the poet. So he allowed the fish which he has caught, and he put the fish into the river den, into the pond, or into watery den, the living place, or you can say he put it, or he allowed it to go. So he says, in the evening crimson's glow, with the greater joy I'll let it go. So this is the moment of bliss. All right, this is, I call it, it's a moment of bliss, and it happens a moment, a rare moment. All right, a moment of bliss. All right, unusual, strange, but invaluable. It's a rewarding kind of experience. That happens in case of poets. That happens in case of persons, those who are having lively sensibility. Right? I'm using another, lively sensibility. I have already told you that all people can be poets, but not all of us are poets. All right? Only those persons, those who are having greater sense of sensibility, greater sense of feeling, greater sense of, you can say, they are more aroused. So they have a kind of thinking which is different. So your Goparanjan Mishra, the poet, is just like a person like that. So he says, that moment I felt that I won't care what my friends would tell or my family members would tell, but I allowed the fish to go into its river den or to the pond. And he says, against the background of the setting sun and against that kind of, you can say, where the sun is setting behind the hills, crimson red color there, and the fish which was caught was allowed to go into the pond. So I felt a greater joy. So again there is a contrast. When he caught the fish, that was the moment of joy. But that joy is multiplied when he allowed it to go. So it is just like there is a joy in defeat also. All right. See, there is a joy in defeat. So for ordinary people like us, we can say that the poet is a fool. So he has caught the fish, but he could not keep his promise of feeding his friend the fish fry. But remember, these people, the poets, are different from all of us. That's why he says, my joy knew no bound. My joy multiplied when I allowed the fish to go to the pond. It's a beautiful poem, and the best way to understand the poem, the best way to enjoy the poem is to read it to yourself. Even if sometimes you may not understand the meaning of each word, don't be very, you can say, conscious of that. Just read it line after line. And even if you find some kind of difficulty in understanding certain expressions, but try to go with the lines. I think that will give you another kind of experience. You will feel like what is the joy when you share, what is the joy of freedom. So this is the joy of freedom. This is unique, and that has happened in case of the poet. That's why the poem ends with a sense of a flavor. I am using a term which is taken from, you can say, food flavor. So the kind of contrast I can bring, that commoners like all of us were thinking that there will be fish fry tonight. So people like all of us might have gone for this kind of you can say option, but the poet went for another option which is more delightful, more rewarding, more joyful, and more happy. So he felt happier when he allowed the fish. That's why I should say safely that the poem ends with a sense of flavor. All right, FLAV, a kind of beautiful taste, TAST. This taste is not the taste which you get when you eat something, but this taste is the freedom which is allowed to the fish. All right. So I think I have done my job. I have tried to just give you an impression of the poet, how he felt when he caught the fish, and how he felt more happy when he allowed it to go. All right. So that is also a joy when you lose something. For ordinary thing, for ordinary kind of people, it becomes like an unusual kind of experience, but it's very common, and it's very you can say precious in case of a poet. So that is why this fishing written by your poet Goparanjan Mishra has become so popular, so significant, and so meaningful. Thank you. Thank you all.